Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on our show. Marwan, I'll begin with you. From 54 member associations of CAF, it's been narrowed down to 10 who will play for the World Cup tickets. Do these teams deserve to be still in the running for Qatar 2022?
Yes, I think obviously if you go through all what the teams have been through, then you deserve to be in a fighting battle or have a fighting chance of qualifying to the World Cup. Obviously, some teams have not made it for some time. Other teams have, such as Egypt, who made it to the last World Cup after missing out on many, many years. And they will not want to miss out further in the next World Cup. It's especially that it's in an Arab country. And obviously, there are four Arab North African nations who can qualify to the World Cup in an Arab country. So it's kind of important for them, and it's also important for the other teams as well to qualify. I think if you reach this place or this round, you have a 50-50 chance to qualify to the World Cup. And obviously, to do that, you need to be very, very prepared, and you 100% deserve it. I do not have any doubts that every team who has put in a lot of time and resources, blood, sweat, and tears to reach this stage, just have one step left to go to the World Cup. They deserve it.
Right, and Charles, coming to you, 5 of the teams that played at Russia, that's Senegal, Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, are still in the race for Qatar. Would you then say that the CAF World Cup qualifying process is fair compared to, say, Europe and South America?
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers. I think the process has been flawed. Automatic qualification for some of the teams there is a bit unfair on other teams. The seeding of the 26 teams that are already going to take over automatic qualification for the final round seems that it's just a way in. What is important is for every team that gets into the third round or goes to the World Cup has to feel like they worked for it. They always have to feel like they put in the power or the strength or the resources and the energy into it. So the important thing that I think is the seeding of the qualifications, the top 26 teams that will go through automatically, the big teams, in Africa, got a way in, whereas opposed to some of those that will come in through the round will have to actually work hard and grind in and get the work in to actually go through and put their work in and show that they actually deserve to be in the World Cup.
Right, and Marwan, coming back to you, everyone is, of course, talking about the rematch between Senegal and Egypt. Very briefly, just tell us about where that playoff will be won or lost later this month.
Look, if I speak on an Egyptian perspective, the game will be won here and not on the football pitch. Seriously, they need to be very mentally prepared for such a game. Obviously, the current qualification system, I like much more the past qualification system in the last World Cup, where there's a group and you qualify top of the group, you qualify to the World Cup. The thing is, when it comes to crunch ties or these head-to-head games, we've not had the best of luck at all in preparations mentally and not on the football pitch. We can go back to the game against Ghana and Kumasi where we lost 6-1. So these things, they play in the heads of our players. Over the past years, when it came down to crunch ties, I feel that the Egyptian national team, obviously, they had a lot of problems mentally when it came to these games. We are a good team on paper, we are a good team individually, but mentality is a big key. Even if we have Mohamed Salah, who's one of the top 3 players in the world at the moment, it's still difficult. The whole unit needs to be mentally prepared, from the players to the coaching staff. I do not feel that it will be entirely difficult for Egypt to beat Senegal, but obviously, when we speak about these heavy games, and when we speak about the recent loss, Africa Cup of Nations loss, coming back of these players, several players like Salah, Trezeguet, a lot of the players who were available in the last time we lost the final in the AFCON, and we lost this final, and some of the players like Salah, for example, he was present in the Ghana game. So these things, there are many mental barriers for the Egyptian national team to beat. So I think honestly, mentality will be key, and the strongest team mentally will win the game, no matter what quality of players they have. If you're mentally ready for this encounter, you can qualify, whether it's Egypt or Senegal. It doesn't matter.
All right, and Charles, coming back to you, obviously, this will be a World Cup without African football giants South Africa and Cote d'Ivoire, who will once again miss the World Cup party. In short, where did the rain start to beat them?
I agree with what my colleague Marwan is saying there, that the players they're the ones that go onto the pitch, and they're the ones that go out there and play. And big name players necessarily don't win games. Ivory Coast, for instance, they have a lot. It's a star-studded team. We've got the Pepes, you've got the Kantes, the Konates, you've got Zaha from Crystal Palace. They are good players on paper, but it's about the barriers, the mental barriers that you go in there. So to come back to your questions in terms of how big nations, or how strong nations with strong football federations, like for instance Ivory Coast and South Africa, PSL, those are strong leagues. But when they have to do the work, when they have to go in there and qualify for the teams, you have to break all the mental barriers that actually impede you from going on. For instance, Egypt and the Senegal tie, it's going to be a lot of psychological barriers that's going to have to come in play. Both sets of players, both teams, need to shake a lot of their historical background. They need to shake it off and just focus on the game that they're going to be playing on that day. Teams like South Africa lost it there. They lost it psychologically. The pressure is always on. Especially, it gets harder when there's no 12th man on the pitch. It gets harder when there's no shouts from the stands to say, we are pushing you, we are behind you. I think that's where that's why most of the big players, or the African big stars, have not qualified this season. I mean, for this World Cup, because of the mental barriers, and because of maybe some of the disturbances that they had to go through because of the restrictions of COVID and the like.
Gentlemen, we're almost out of time. Before we let you go, just give us the 5 countries that you both fancy to play in Qatar. Let's start with you, Charles.
Well, to put my head on the block there, Egypt and Senegal. Senegal are on a wave. I'd go for Senegal. I'd go for Nigeria. I'd go for Morocco. I'd go for Tunisia. Tunisia would be a surprise package there, so I'm hoping for them. I'm betting for them, and I'm expecting the North African teams to come out strong there.
And Marwan, coming to you, your 5.
Obviously, look, it's not just because I'm from North Africa or Arab or whatever. When Arab teams qualify to these tournaments, and especially if they face each other, and if, for example, because we're playing in Qatar, which is also an Arab country, and we can find a lot of Asian clubs, Arab Asian clubs, that also qualify to the World Cup. These things give football and the World Cup a special flavor in this region. Seriously, people watch, and people have more concern regarding the World Cup. So I think it will, for this region, I think to qualify, the 4 Arab North African nations to qualify, and whoever is better from Ghana or Nigeria, I think will deserve it. But personally, I would like to see Ghana at the World Cup.
Marwan, a very diplomatic answer. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your input there. Marwan Saeed joining us from Cairo, sports analyst, as well as Charles Msomi, who's a sports commentator, joining us from Johannesburg.